Here's a question. Should the EFF of Julius Malema change its position or change its wording on this open border situation? Many people said the EFF has suffered a defeat to the ANC because of their stance on this pan-Africanism ideology. So should Julius Malema change the way he speaks about other African countries? Recently at the Rhodes University, Julius Malema was heard saying Zimbabweans must get into buses and go back to Zimbabwe to solve their problems. Of course, he was misquoted because he was speaking about the youth of Zimbabwe standing up and fighting the great fight in their country. But is Pan-Africanism something that a political party should really preach about in today's age? Let's talk about that and much more.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Apartheid didn't lose. Apartheid won.
Yeah.
Apartheid didn't lose. Not only did it win, it's still winning. The project of apartheid was not only about the exploitation of the many for the few. It wasn't just about making black people believe they were inferior. The more insidious project in apartheid, its most successful outcome, and I use the word successful for a lack of a better one, so don't get touched with that, is that apartheid was there to convince black people that none amongst them was worth anything. Kungako today, isitha somuntu omnyama, umuntu omnyama, umuntu ozodiliza inkampani yomuntu omnyama, umuntu omnyama, umuntu ozokuframe, umuntu omnyama, umuntu ozokufaka ejele ngenzondo, umuntu omnyama, umuntu ozokubamba ngenhliziyo athi sobona ukuthi uyophele laphi,
Sure.
ngumuntu omnyama.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kaiso Hlongwane Zinjiva Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I want to cover quickly the comments that is making rounds in social media where Julius Malema said to Zimbabwean youth, you must get into your buses and you must go back to Zimbabwe to go and vote and also fight, the great fight against the government that you said you don't want in. Is this Julius Malema turning the tide in terms of how we speak about African politics and the situation in other countries? Many people said Julius Malema must put South African first. Now, South Africans always say that statement in meaning, let the Zimbabwe solve their problem. It has nothing to do with you. Just continue being South African and solve South African problem before you worry about other people. Let Zimbabweans fix their problems in Zimbabwe. Let them have solutions to Zimbabwean problems. But they don't understand the greater need of South Africa assisting Zimbabwe, because then if South Africa does not assist Zimbabwe, Zimbabweans are still going to flock into South Africa in pursuit of a better life, better medication and healthcare and all of those things. Now, when Julius Malema spoke at Rhodes University, he spoke in length about us as South Africans, us as SADC, us as the Pan-Africanist Parliament, us as the African unit, speaking with a unified language to the Zimbabwean situation. Listen to this.
Of Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwean youth must rise, because that nonsense will never come to an end as long as there is no unity of purpose against the tyranny, against the suppression of political wishes of Zimbabweans. So ourselves at Pan-African Parliament, at the AU, at SADC, we have to have a political will to speak for the people of Zimbabwe. When it comes from us, it will have more weight than when it comes from Europe. Why? Because we're brothers and sisters. They will know it's a friendly fire. But SADC, AU, South Africa, they are failing Zimbabweans because it's a bruskap. It's friendship. It's brother, leader, brother. When they meet, brother. And then when you ask what is the resolution, no one has taken any resolution. So you need a clear position from SADC which gives the timelines that by this time this should have happened. But otherwise, Mnangagwa is going to come back. And he's got nothing to offer at all. So Chiwenga is done. He will not be anything. They used him. Chiwenga is no longer the most powerful military man in Zimbabwe now. They've weakened him. So only the power of the youth of Zimbabwe can change the political status quo. And the Zimbabweans have to know that we are with them. Including Zimbabweans who are here in South Africa. When there are elections, get into buses and go home. Go and fight from there. Because the humiliation that you are being subjected to here in South Africa is if you don't have your own homes. It's high time that you take it upon yourself and organize yourselves. EFF is there. We can even sponsor buses. Ora, go and vote. If you are here to study, you can come back, study, no problem, but go and vote. So that we know that at least you are also doing something.
And of course, it was quoted out of content to say Julius is saying the youth of Zimbabwe or everyone from South Africa, in South Africa who's from Zimbabwe, must get in the bus and go and vote. I think we as Africans have to understand that the election system, electoral system is not going to work for us. It will never be fair. There are people that have high interest in results going a certain direction or another. So for me, elections will never be free and fair, transparent and whatever, especially in countries like Congo, Nigeria, in Zimbabwe, countries that are rich in minerals, South Africa. You're not gonna have elections that the votes of the people are honestly reflect the outcomes of the elections. So for me, we need to find another solution. Our IEC type of companies that run the elections are captured. That's what I believe. You guys will tell me on the comment section if you believe otherwise. For me, how many times have the people of Zimbabwe cried and tried to vote for another party and ZANU-PF stopped them? How many times? What is voting going to solve for the people of Zimbabwe? The people who are legally here in South Africa going back to Zimbabwe, they don't make a dent in what ZANU-PF does on the ground. We've seen during Mnangagwa's first term, we saw people getting beaten at the voting stations. And we saw things, man, political oppositions being beaten up, arrested, intimidated, journalists. I mean, in that type of a situation, what makes you think that going and voting is actually going to change this stuff? So the youth of the Student Council of Zimbabwe came together and they were holding a meeting. And because the Zimbabwean government feared that what happened in Kenya would happen in Zimbabwe, they arrested the leaders there. They just went in there and beaten. They just went there and beaten them up. Guys, if you see the videos, they just came in, beat people up and arrested, I believe, 25 of them. One of them being the leader of the student council. And I'm like, oh my goodness, the level of intimidation. But remember, what I console my African brothers in Zimbabwe is that the Zimbabwean police don't carry guns. You know, if you plan something properly, you can execute it with if it's properly planned. Now, let me not give the Zimbabwean youth any ideas because I won't be there. But I'm just saying, if you guys use your brain properly, you can have these meetings and you can decide the fate of your future, because you are the future of that country of Zimbabwe. And of course, you are tired of the arrogance of ZANU-PF. I mean, one leader that responded to Julius Malema said Julius Malema does not have proper education. Proper education.
You speak about leaders in Africa. Do you think that SADC is playing in the role that it's supposed to play?
There's no such a thing. SADC, there's no such a thing. AU, there's no such a thing. It's a group of all people who protect each other. They don't protect the interests of their people. It's a club. It's a gentleman club. They don't care. They don't call each other out. So they are unable to say, you are wrong here, you are wrong there, and therefore this is how we need to fix it. And the way forward is that the youth must take politics serious.
This is the ilk from which Julius Malema emanates from. He posits as a pseudo-revolutionary and a cryptic intellectual. He never properly went to school. And he propounds big theories about how Zimbabwe should be run, as if it is his own country. At 43 years of age, he is no longer a youth. Who is he from South Africa to try to tell the youths of Zimbabwe who should be their ruler? Malema, pakati papayama. He has just been in an election. He comes third for a party which broke away from the NC several years ago. Third from Umkondo Wesizwe's MK from Zuma, a party which is hardly 6 months. It's clear that his pseudo-revolutionary message within South Africa has reached a dead end. That's why he could be overtaken. That's why he never made it himself to become the president. So charity begins at home. If you are so good at leadership that you can give strictures to Zimbabwean youth, why not make it success your own homegrown ride to power at Mashambanzo in Pretoria, in Tswane? He can't. So he suffers from the Rhodes syndrome. We say to him, keep your dirty hands out of Zimbabwe's affairs, Malema. Focus on trying to win a South African election first. That's why there are boundaries. That's why the Limpopo is a boundary between Zimbabwe and South Africa. She has no authority at all to be speaking about Zimbabwean politics. So his miseducation and the cryptic knowledge of Malema about school created.
Yeah, you see that analogy of saying win your elections first before you come say anything about it. Yeah, but fix your country first so that people can't criticize it. Because what must we do? Because I'm not a politician, I must not have any opinion about what is happening in Zimbabwe. I mean, everyone can see clearly what is happening in Zimbabwe because we've got our Zimbabwean brothers here, and by Taura, they're telling us that, listen, what is happening there is bad. They're telling us your Zimbabwe is bad. I'm working with some of them. They are doctors here, and they're telling me, Zimbabwe, there's no hope in Zimbabwe as long as ZANU-PF is there. So we're gonna have an opinion, of course. And you say the EFF got number 3. Well, I'm sure he's saying number 3 according to the African parties, ANC being number 1, MK being number 2, EFF being number 3, ignoring the DA. Very good, very good. It shows the type of reasoning capacity that the leadership of ZANU-PF has and the level of arrogance that they still have. Those people honestly think they're going to rule until Jesus comes. They honestly believe they're going to rule forever. But all these type of things underneath the sun, like the great book says, it comes to an end. Everything under the sun comes to an end. They can say whatever they want, but there will be a generation that will be willing to die. There will be a generation that will be willing to lay their lives in the streets, just like what we saw in Kenya, and just like we saw in Senegal, just like we saw in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, just like we saw in Guinea. There will be a generation that will say enough is enough. South Africa is very close to that generation to break out, to the generation that is going to say enough is enough. I believe 2029 is going to be that day, because my prediction for 2029 elections is that ANC will fall underneath 35%. There will be somewhere at 32 to 28%, somewhere there, and the DA will rise to 26 to 27%, and the DA will get into a coalition with the ANC, and the ANC will allow the DA to lead the country. That's my prediction. If we don't change, if we don't fight the system, the MK will improve to 20-something%. The EFF will improve to 10 to 15, 11 to 12%, because their votes will be rigged. That's what I believe. Because I don't see any political party really coming with a strategy properly. They think 2029 is too far. There's so many things that still must be done. Yes, but those things must be done properly. You need to have an underground movement. You need to have a political education movement. You need to have a field and person-to-person education system that you do, and then that can fight the system that is going to happen. And also you need to have behind the closed doors boardroom meetings with other political parties, including the ANC, trying to conscientize them as to what is going to happen. But because money is involved in every election, the rich will always win. So the question I wanted to answer here is that, should the EFF change its stance on pan-Africanism and how they speak about other countries, and start saying things like Julius Malema is saying, you guys go back to your country and solve your problems, we will support you, type of a language, instead of taking a stance that, hey guys, come, everyone, if you've got problems, find your way to South Africa. This Miss South Africa Chidima situation, I think it showed the EFF and all of us who are pan-Africanists how far or how much work we still need to do when it comes to pan-Africanism into the South African black people's mind, decolonizing them, conscientizing them with black consciousness, and educating them also. It showed us how far we are as black South Africans. So I believe the EFF has to now tread carefully when they speak about pan-Africanism, and understand that you are speaking to a child about the square root of 10. A child who does not know what 1 + 1 is. You understand what I'm saying? Take it slowly. Back to the communities. You don't need to lose any more votes because of people misunderstanding what the EFF is saying, because of their political minds are still amateurs. They still need liquid food, not solid course, for them to understand what the EFF is standing for. And I'm not speaking about the EFF only, the MK also. This thing of changing the constitution, bringing back the land to the kingship and all of them, to the royal family, it's too deep for other South Africans to grasp. So I think, I told you guys, we have now a Julius Malema who is more matured in the way he says things. More matured in the way he says things. The Julius switched on a switch after the elections, and it's like, these South Africans. They're not ready, excuse me. They're not ready for what I want to tell them. So I'm just going to tell them what I want to tell them in a different way, in a way they want me to say it. It's a good strategy. I think the EFF should continue with this road, because I'm also, in a way, tired of fighting people that I see, they are too far from what I want to get into. We explain to people what we are trying to do with the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. The first school that we want to introduce in South Africa that is going to be totally independent and also black owned, and that will give our children the proper education that we are crying about. Agriculture, technology, political education, economics, accounting, speaking about and all of the fields that are very important to making a country to be successful are going to be taught in our school. And we're telling our people, we as African people, the best thing that we do is to complain. We don't act. This is one of the ways that we must act. The Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture is our action word put into practice. We are saying, please guys, donate 50 Rand to the school. 50 Rand. Well, you can do it monthly, you can do it weekly, you can do it daily if you've got the money. But donate 50 Rand. We need 10,000 people to donate 50 Rand to Paseta so we can build the school. We've got a brilliant team that we are putting together. We even have Namibia coming into place right now. Namibia has formulated its team for Paseta Namibia. We are growing, guys. People are believing in this, and we don't want to disappoint you. We want you guys to help us raise the fundings for Paseta so that we don't have to ask our capitalists, our colonizers to fund us. In fact, we'll never do that. Rather let the school fail, because what is the point of calling yourself a Pan-African school but then turning around and then working against the principles of Pan-Africanism, if you understand what I'm saying? We want to take our children, put them in the school, teach them agriculture, teach them the herbs, teach them what these different plants are doing, teach them how to farm, teach them how to grow organic spinach, potato at home. In the new agricultural space, because you don't need a lot of land for that. You understand what I'm saying? Teach them how to do economics in the proper way for African people. Teach them to have technology that is going to identify sicknesses, that is going to heal sicknesses and all of those things. That is what we want to do in our school. But we cannot rely on the basic education system that the government is supplying to our children. It's bull. It's utter nonsense what our children are learning. I'm looking at the books of my child. I'm like, what nonsense is this? What rubbish is this? Why is my children learning this? How is this thing going to help my child? It's like, Baba, fundiso krema with bakono pasa so that they can go to the next grade. There is nothing. You meet a grade 8-year-old. A grade 8-year-old who's what? How old is grade 8? 15 years to 16 years, depending. They know nothing about economics. They know nothing about agriculture. They know nothing. Just because your family does not have a farm does not mean that that information must be derived from you. We must change that, South Africans. So, the ANC has closed most of our agricultural colleges. The ANC has closed most of our technical schools around South Africa. Everywhere where you go, every province, they will tell you, there was a technical college there, it closed. So we must come where we act and we show these people we mean business. Let's unite as Africans. Let's unite as South Africans. Let's unite as the world to say, guys, let's build our own school. Please make me proud, guys, by just donating 50 Rand directly to the Paseta account, the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. It's a Capitec business account. Make sure that you select Capitec business, not your normal Capitec account. It's a business account. It's a business anyway. So please make sure that you get that right. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism. I salute you.